welcome to Bethan's Kitchen and Garden. Today I am going to be planting out some onions, hopefully planting out my first early potatoes and generally tidying up the garden. I've got a few jobs to do. It's very windy outside, so I shall probably put a montage together of what I'm doing, so you don't have to listen to that awful wind noise and me waffling on. But essentially I want to plant some onions in between my asparagus plants in the big bed at the front. I'm hoping they will do well in the middle of the asparagus plants and they can just grow quite happily for the summer there. And in the back garden I want to rerun my irrigation system. I feel like it would be better if I run it lengthways up and down the bed, so it was sort of snaking like that. At the moment it's kind of like a bit curly-whirly all over the place, so I'm going to run that in better. And I've also got some brassicas to take out that have gone to seed that I shall give to my chickens. They really enjoy eating them. And anything else really that I come across that you'll see in the montage. So let's get on with that. Well, that was my progress over the last few days, and I'm reasonably pleased with what I got up to. And this morning I spent a lot of time working on my fruit trees and basically weeding the bottom of the fruit trees and then giving them a good amount of bone meal, which will hopefully get them sort of going a bit for the coming spring. And I also tidied up a lot of the flower beds out the front, and I'll just give you a quick tour of what they're looking like now. If you just ignore this one here, that needs to go to the dump really. But I got around to giving these pansies a feed this morning, and there's the well weeded fruit trees. They've all had that treatment, so I'm really happy to get that done, because a lot of the time I am so busy putting things in that I don't actually look after what is in. So the plants at the back have all had bloodfish and bone. These onions are fine because they haven't long gone in the ground, and I put fresh compost in there when I did that. Then this tree is my cherry tree, but there's no sign of any life coming into it, and it was looking a bit sorry for itself at the end of last season, so I'm not quite sure if that tree is still alive. That's the only one I'm a bit concerned about. Then this has all been done, and I've put in some compost here, and I'm going to plant either some beetroot or onion in there. And then this is my apple tree, which is bursting into life, which is really nice. Some lovely pink blossoms on there. And then again, these have all had the same treatment, but I'm very pleased with how nice they look now, because they were all a bit weedy. And this is my other cherry tree, and this side has come into blossom and this side has not, but this is a grafted one, so there's two different varieties. So maybe this one is the same as the other cherry tree and is just not quite ready to wake up yet. And if that's the case, or if this side doesn't spring into life, then obviously I've still got this side. Another job I got done this morning was clearing out this bed. It had spring onions and carrots in them. A lot of the carrots had white fly, carrot root fly, so they've gone to the chickens, but I had a good crop of spring onions, and even more exciting, 3 spheres of asparagus. We have had 2 spheres so far, both of which went in a Thai curry, so I'm very excited to try that. But going back to this bed, I'm just about to plant those Charlotte potatoes. 8 in this bed. I cleared some of the Swiss chard away this morning, which my chickens absolutely loved. And then at the other end of the bed, I've got my Welsh onions, which are like perpetual spring onions. So you just harvest the green whenever you need a spring onion. And what I thought I might do with this is chop a load of it and then very thinly slice it and put it in my dehydrator, and then maybe it'll dehydrate enough to have sort of crispy onions in a jar for a while. That's the plan anyway. So I'm going to get on and plant those Charlotte potatoes in that bed now, and then I will meet you around the back garden and talk you through another project I started this morning. The next project I wanted to work on was my broad beans. So I took the net off. They did have hoops on them and a net just really to stop my cat from using this as a toilet over the winter. And I'm thinking I'm going to keep this top area down to about here, I think, and then the rest I'm going to pull out, very simply because I only really planted this many for fixing nitrogen in the soil, so I don't want to leave that many broad beans in, because I will need the ground before the broad beans are finished. So there are some missing gaps here, and what I might do is transplant a couple of really good looking plants to the missing ones and stake them up. Similarly, this bed of broad beans I also want to take out, as I want to put some brassicas in there that have been growing indoors that I've started to harden off, but I think they'll do well in this bed here. So I'm going to get rid of that bed too. I've now weeded the bed and I've given it some blood fish and bone, and I'll mix all that in when I plant the brassicas. But I got a row of greyhound cabbage here, 2 rows of Chinese cabbage there, which is called wongbak, and then just down the bottom here I've got 2 rows of cauliflower igloo, which is meant to be a sort of a smallish cauliflower. So I'll get on and plant this up, and then I'm going to cover it in fleece, and hopefully the plants will grow quite happily under the fleece for a little bit longer. That's all had a really good drink now, and some of the plants are looking quite good. The cauliflowers are looking a bit flimsy, but hopefully they'll come through. So I'm just going to cover them in a fleece for the time being, in case we have any frost at night, and hopefully they'll grow. I've got a couple left over here, and these will go to my neighbour who has a veg patch in their garden, so I shall plant them in her garden for her. So here's the bed all tucked away. Hopefully there won't be many slugs under there to eat the cabbages. I'll check again on them in about 3 or 4 days' time to make sure everything's okay under there, but hopefully they'll grow fine for the next 2 or 3 weeks like that, and hopefully they'll spring on into life now. Well, that's it from me for today. I'm going to carry on with the other broad beans in the next vlog, as it's getting a bit late now, and I quite fancy a cup of tea. So I'm going to go in and have a cup of tea, and hope that my cabbages don't get eaten by slugs. Anyway, on that cheerful note, thank you for watching, liking, subscribing and commenting if you have done so. I really appreciate it. Oh, and I meant to say, I don't think I mentioned why I had grown my broad beans over the winter for fertiliser. Basically, there's nodes on the broad bean roots that have nitrogen in them, and as soon as the broad bean starts to flower, it uses the nitrogen within those roots to support itself. So if you take away the flowers and the stems and leave the roots in the ground, in theory it should fix the nitrogen into the ground, but I'm not sure if I've been a bit too late, and I should have done it before they flowered, because now they've probably used up the nitrogen. So that was a big waste of time, really. But in theory it should work. So yes, that's it from me for today. Thank you very much, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. All I can say about my jobs today are lovely job.